Would you be able to turn your camera? Hold on a second. Let me see.
We're live.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
live.
Oh, we live. Okay.
Hold on. Let's do the intro properly.
Ding, working the ones and twos gets us live.
Here we go.
All right, we're here. Road to the Titles, Season 3, Episode number 2 in the books. We've got Ding up on the left, and we've got Will Shockey joining us. How you doing, my man?
Doing great, guys. How about yourselves?
Really good. So, how amped up are you just watching yourself on national television?
Right, it was amazing. Watching it again is amazing with seeing all the slow mos because we actually got to watch film one time at the Apex. We had no audio, so getting to see it with full audio and everything is real sick.
That's awesome. That's great. A new revelation. You didn't know who was striking first until you got there up on stage. Do you think that helped you to your benefit, or did it kind of leave you in limbo?
So that situation for me was kind of different. So leading up to the match, I had that in the back of my head. It's like, okay, I'm not going to know who's going to be striking when I get up there first. But when we got to the Apex that day and it came time to weigh in, he missed weight. So then I knew that I was striking first because he forfeited the coin toss. So that all went out of the back of my head. As soon as that came up, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get to hit first. But for a little bit, it was a little nerve wracking, but I think it is a better way to do it. Really kind of get you on your toes. But like we talked earlier, you can't do betting lines with that. So be nice if that was possible, but it was pretty intense.
Yeah. Talk to me about the face-off. Talk to me when you looked in his eyes. What was that feeling you got off him?
Yeah, so very intense because he's been around. The guy's been there. He's done that. He's fought all around Bellator, a couple other big places. So squaring up with the guys, like I know I'm not going to intimidate this guy, in the slightest. So I just had to go up there and show him that I wasn't tired and bring that energy because he was definitely a little tired from the weight cut. But that's my boy. I love Jair. He's one of the best opponents I could have had.
Awesome. I mean, obviously with the language barrier, you may not be able to connect too much with them, but you said that you were able to build some sort of bond with them. How are you guys able to connect and, either before and or after the match now on social and, connecting through other means of communication? Yeah.
So when we first met at the first hotel, a lot of people, they had a little bit of trouble understanding him, but I could understand Jair pretty well. I don't know Portuguese at all, but me and him just kind of, we clicked together right away, and I knew what he was talking about whenever we would get to talking. It's a little different when you're used to speaking to people that don't speak English the greatest. So it's like, I'm kind of a little bit better at putting things together than most people with that.
Yeah. I got one more for you. You get there, you have to be in kind of the play-in tournament. You weren't automatically in the house. Was that discouraging at all? Or were you like, just, hey, this is the path I got to go and I'm all for it?
Yeah, for sure. Like, when you get to the house, like it was very different, but, getting that first match out of the way really kind of, settled me in a little bit after I got that first fight jitters out of the way. And then once I got in the house, I felt a lot better.
Ding, over to you, my man.
Yeah, brother. So, like I said in the beginning here, congratulations, man. Incredible performance. Obviously, the best night at the office is the one where you don't have to absorb any damage. You get to just dish it and, collect your cash and go home. A couple interesting things that they talked about. So you actually were born with no pectoral muscle on your right side. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct. So I don't have a pec on my right side. So certain workouts for me are very difficult. Like I can't really bench, very well, or do certain things like that. But I compensate by doing a lot of different types of workouts, which I think really correlates very well to slap. I do a lot of different things like chopping down trees, chopping wood, doing a lot of core workout stuff where it really builds your power in your core.
Yeah, man, it's just super interesting for a number of reasons. Number one, obviously, that I can think of, the only time that we've kind of seen a striker that's had like a very visible or dramatic, or drastic is probably a better word, physical disability, so to speak, is when One-Eyed Wolf obviously only has one eye, and he didn't get cleared to compete actually because of that. So not only for you to be able to compete, but then also using your left arm, you have the performance that you have. Like, talk me through. I mean, in a perfect world, could you use your right hand at all? I mean, I would imagine you can't, but I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah. So, really, I'm gonna try to avoid it unless I injure. The only way I would use it is if I injured my left arm by any means. But I would definitely use it. I would not pull out if I hurt the left one. So I have practice with it. It's just not. It doesn't feel the same. But I would definitely. I would still. I got that dog in me, man. I'd never give up. If I got that left, only right when it's one I'm using.
That's very, very interesting.
Let me jump in real quick because I mean the function of the pectoral muscle is to raise your arm forward and rotate inwards. So talk to me. Sorry, and I'm not trying to be ignorant, but I'm just like, so how does it all work then? Like, so there's no muscle there whatsoever. You weren't able so is it all the shoulder, like the shoulder griddle that allows you to still lift that arm?
Yeah. So if you like here, actually, I'll show you the hand. If you can see the hand, I don't know if you can actually see the difference there in the size comparison from the fingers where they actually go much further. But my pec, it's really it doesn't bother me at all as far as like my ability to strike. I found a different technique. I pulled a little bit of inspiration from a few people. Got some inspiration from Jules Scott, a couple other people using my body to really generate the power instead of actually having to use that dexterity of my arm to swing it.
Amazing.
Yeah, so a follow-up to that question, actually, it brings me perfectly into my next kind of what I noticed is when you had your strike, and I'll pull it up here and see if we can kind of talk through it. Obviously, you come in a little low, so he comes in high, you come in at 152.5. What do you walk around at?
So walking around, I'm a natural featherweight. Like when I got the call for this, I was very light, and I was like, I'm not missing the call for this at all. So I was like, I started just gaining as much as I could and eating. Like that 153.5, I think, and maybe is what I was about as much as I could gain, like after drinking and hydrating as much as I could. So I'm really pushing for a featherweight division. I think we could bring the power, as I showed. We got some power.
Yeah, man. So let me talk through this one more time. Sorry, just so we can. I'll comment on some other part of that. Yeah. Obviously, the slap score is very, very different, right? You have on the lower end in comparison to him. If you look at your strike here, it almost looks. A lot of people talk about pushing through the strike. You'll see it almost looks like you stop. You get kind of stuck on his face, and you let me know if you know what I mean. If you're able to follow, like your hand kind of stops and you just pull it back. A lot of guys, what they'll do is a beautiful strike, of course. A lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll push through, right? It's a big technique that people talk about. Do you think because you talked about using your body, do you think maybe that's the reason that you kind of just shifted? Once he dropped, your hand kind of you just pulled it back versus you didn't fly all the way through. What do you think what's the thought behind that strategy, if that makes sense?
So after rewatching that too, I was sitting there thinking about it as well. Like he had a really strong neck as well. When I hit him, it was like hitting a brick wall. Like I'm not even gonna lie, like that guy had a strong neck, and I think that him standing there and trying to absorb all of it, it just crumbled him. But I think that because of that slap score and him having such a strong neck, I was trying to push through him, but when I hit, that was just as far as I could go because it was like hitting a brick wall. But once the power went through, it just, it transferred all the way through him.
Yeah, listen, it was an incredible strike, especially given, the fact that you guys, there was just such a huge disparity between your slap scores. It was a part of you a little bit disappointed that you didn't absorb a strike. So the next time you get up there is the first time that you're going to absorb a strike versus, and the first time you kind of get it over with. Now you got to wait a little longer.
Yeah, for sure. So that's always something too, to where it's like, if you win a match and you don't really get to take any damage, it's one of those situations where you're like, people will be like, well, maybe he can't take shots too. So, that's something that I want to get back in there again too as well. And get back and show some more as well, because I think that I could be good for a live show. Hopefully we got some live events coming up, get me on one of those cards and show off some more.
And talk to me about Robert Trujillo as a coach. Obviously, he's kind of the king of the lightweight division, up until this point. And it would seem that this tournament is sort of to find a contender to face off with him at some point in the future. Do you think it makes it harder for you, being that you guys have this relationship with him being your coach? Do you think there's some advantages because you kind of learned a little bit about his technique? Talk me through what you think about the prospect of fighting him in the future, being that this guy has kind of been your mentor in power slap?
Yeah, so I mean, Robert was like amazing coach. I mean, he's an absolute tactician when it comes to slapping. I mean, he knows, what he's doing perfectly. And it was a little bit, nerve wracking knowing it's like, hey, this is like, pretty much final boss here. You know what I mean? It's like eventually we're all gonna, if we want to get to the top, we're gonna have to eventually, go up against this guy. But at the same time, it was, we're taking knowledge from somebody that already had that much experience. So in a way, it was like, kind of like a double-edged sword, but I loved it at the same time because he was like the best coach. I wouldn't have had it any other way.
Yeah, and along those lines, I don't know if I said last question last time, but something came to my head, so I apologize if I did. But the Crazy Hawaiian pointed out, you guys actually got to face off with one another, so to speak, in a training environment. You were able to, kind of extend your hand and put it on your opponent's faces. And he highlighted, and I agree with this, that generally that doesn't happen. You don't get to size up your opponent, in a mock sort of environment before you actually fight. Did you learn anything? Was there anything that you saw, anything that you took from your ability to sort of size up Jair before you guys actually fought?
So that's a very interesting question right there, because I thought that was one of the coolest things that we got to do before our match, because a lot of times you don't get a chance to really feel like the size of a guy and where his head placement is going to be to where he's going to be trying to defend a strike. If you get a chance to sit there and be like, okay, well, I'm going to line up with you and get a chance to see exactly where your head's going to be where I'm lining up before the match takes place, it was definitely something I really liked for us to do, because it also gave us that chance to really size each other up mentally as well. So of course, me and Jair, we were so cool. That was my boy. There was no animosity between us whatsoever.
For sure. Corey, any last ones?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously tournament style, you're going to be doing multiple matches. You didn't absorb a strike. So, talk to me through, are you feeling really good physically going into this one? I mean, you're the only guy that hasn't been touched yet. You got to think that there's some advantage from not taking anywhere in that round one going into the second round of the tournament, which is probably 7 days later, I believe.
Yeah, so that's definitely any type of tournament style, no matter what combat sports it is, the whole idea of that is to take as little damage in each of the fights as possible, so you can keep continuing through and without as little damage. So that definitely is something that I very confident about, without having taken any damage. But at the same time, like I said, you do catch a little bit of recoil from not have taken a shot as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a huge advantage to not take a shot, obviously coming back in such short a period of time. And, so obviously, we don't know, but obviously we've seen in previous seasons, guys that even win, but unfortunately medically, not medically able to continue in the competition. And so, obviously you're setting yourself up definitely for a great round two, opportunity and performance. Now we know, obviously the winners of each of the matches. So, great to see. I mean, obviously it's already happened, so I can't say best of luck, but I'll tell you, we're excited to see the second round of this tournament and as it kind of goes along.
Heck yeah, guys. I can't wait. Next episode is going to be a banger. I can't wait for it. We got some really good matchups, guys. Like, it's going to be the craziest season ever for sure.
Awesome, my man. Appreciate you joining me. You have a home here at Slap News anytime, okay?
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Have a great night.
All right, Ding. I mean,
what a guy, man. What a guy.
Yeah, great. Great interview. Good guy. Has a mic, which I love to see in it. In the camera, his audio was pristine. Very, very well spoken, which I think is great. Like you said, very unique technique. We've early on in the Slap News days, we actually had a debate about following through versus stopping on the button, and I believe it was Carlos Vera. Who's your boy, Carlos from Tough, who was on our show.
Yeah, Carlos. Yeah, it is Carlos Vera. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so Carlos Vera talked about this actually, and he talked about the difference of either stopping on the button and or following through, and depending on what your opponent is doing and their weight transfer, there could be advantages and disadvantages of each. If your opponent is going to lean into the slap, stopping at it could be more of an advantage because you're transferring that energy into their head versus try to push their head through. If you know the athlete is going to roll, then obviously it's much more advantageous for you to push and strike all the way through. So very interesting to see that. I kind of thought it was interesting because he almost had a hybrid of Dwayne Crespo kind of influence, Austin Turpin influence with the high elbow on the right side. Obviously, we know that there's a bit of a condition there that's impeding his ability, but I mean, it looked great. He was able to take care of, like you said, a very battle tested guy in MMA, competed in Bellator, and wasn't no slouch for sure. The guy's been around, so real excited to see this kid going to round 2 and see if he can make some noise for sure.
Yeah, man, and look, we got a special guest hanging out in the wings that knows this guy very, very well. Was up front in the action. The real deal, Robert Trujillo. Coach, what's up, Coach? Uh-oh.
We lost him.
What's not up, Coach? Hold on. We'll get him back in here. Let's try this again. Coach, can you hear us?
All right, there we go.
There he is. What's up, buddy?
Oh,
I almost feel wrong because I'm not in the car.
What was that?
I said I almost feel wrong because I'm not in the car.
Yeah.
Oh, we lost him again.
All right.
I keep on trying it. We'll see. Obviously, maybe his 64th hair on his chin was out of place, so he didn't want to be on camera today.
On his chin or his eyebrow, bro? I think it's his eyebrows.
Okay.
But like you're saying about William Shockey, man, again, and I said it about the One-Eye Wolf. Obviously, he doesn't get cleared. We never get to see him compete, even after a win in the qualifiers, if you will. And, he goes on to fight in other types of promotions, bare knuckle and things like that. And everybody was excited about him. So this is an interesting one where you have a guy who has such a physical disability, for all intents and purposes, that would really matter in this type of environment. Obviously, he has his other arm, so that works. And for his own sake, his other arm works pretty damn good. But without further ado, we're waiting on the real deal. We'll get him back in here in a few minutes. But we do have another guy who you guys know. You might have seen him on the show just 20 minutes ago or so. We got Mr. Dakota McGregor, another winner from our episode number 2. Oh God, here we go. Here we go with the Canadian stuff. I'll just let you go,
Dakota, let's serenade him. Oh, Canada,
love it.
Our home and native land. Join in, buddy. Come on. You're not gonna leave me a cappella here, are you?
I hate
you, man. How's life treating you?
Oh man, amazing. Honestly, I feel like I'm living a dream right now.
Awesome, dude. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're from the East Coast. What city or town you from?
Surrey, Prince Edward Island. It's like an island. Yeah, it is an island.
Trust me, dude. I know what Prince Edward Island is. It's the only province in Canada that I haven't been to. But
really, man,
it's beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, awesome, man. I actually got a Morgan McDonald. It's like an IFBB pro bodybuilder from Prince Edward Island. The only guy that I know quite well. I've had him out on the West Coast. But yeah, man, let's talk about your performance. You showed up and you showed out. How good does it feel?
Yeah, amazing, honestly. Like I said, I feel like I'm living a dream right now.
Awesome, man. Has it been hard to kind of keep under wraps? Obviously, you signed a non-disclosure, so you can't talk about things. But is it finally nice to have that off, get on air? I'm sure the texts are flowing in from your friends, your family, etc. Seeing you up there, being able to perform. How good is it?
Man, it's amazing. Like, and yeah, living on like a small island, it's hard not to disclose too much information. Like you want to say some stuff, but you really can't. Yeah. And the people you do tell, you have to like not tell too much. But even when you do tell them stuff, tell them like your family members. You got to tell them, I got to keep this under wraps because it's all on me at the end of the day. I guess we'll say, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm sure coming from a smaller province, smaller town, I'm sure you're going to get a ton of love. I'm sure you'll probably get some media requests and stuff like that, local newspaper, all that stuff. But talk to me about the face-off. Was your first time you ever squared off against a guy, and what kind of energy were you feeling from him?
Definitely my first ever professional face-off. I mean, I faced off with people before, but not like that. Like when it's, cameras in your face and things come out of your mouth that you don't necessarily mean because you're in the moment. But Ivan, I can't respect him anymore. Honestly, he's such a solid dude.
100%. I mean, this one was a battle from start to finish.
Thank you.
So let's play this one, Ding, because I know it's a long one. Let's talk through it as we kind of go, and I'll let you narrate it, Ding.
Yeah. So you guys are almost identical in your attributes. but not so much in your slap score. Obviously, you have the advantage in the slap score. They're the same height. You're both taller for the weight class. Um, you know, what were you thinking when you were getting ready to absorb, your first strike from a guy who is kind of, in a lot of ways, just like you? Like I said, I mean, those attributes.
Honestly, I didn't know what to expect. Like, you don't really know what to expect until you get out there and you take that first one. I wish I would have did a little bit more research on the defensive end of it, and yeah, it opened my eyes up to what I needed to work on, I guess we'll say, right?
Yeah. So let me ask.
Oh, did we lose Ding? You guys still there?
Oh,
Dakota.
okay. Can you hear me? Is that better?
I'm still here, yeah.
Sorry about that. That was all me. So I did want to ask, and I noticed this in the show immediately, and I was curious. We've talked about this before. The kneeling when you get hit and you're rocked to give yourself additional time to get up. In hindsight, do you think that was a good idea or a bad idea? And I'll give you a small piece of context before you answer it. Hold on, let's look at your strike here. Incredible strike.
Thank you.
Do you think this is done? When you see this, you like?
I wasn't really sure. That's why I waited.
Okay.
The second one, I walked out. I kind of thought it was done after the second one.
Incredible. Okay, so sorry about that. Back to my question. I only asked that because if this fight goes to decision, every time you've kneeled, that's a knockdown.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you don't win the way that you win, you really make it hard for yourself to get a decision victory with a lot of knockdowns accrued in hopes that you're recovering. So in hindsight, would you say it was a good idea to kneel? And I know Turpin kind of supported that, or would you say it's probably not in your best interest to do that?
First fight, first time out there, I think it was a good decision. Clear your head, know where you're at. But yeah, like I said, I knew what I took home, or took to the house, I guess, the knowledge, what I needed to work on. And I couldn't agree more with you, though. Like three kneels, 3 knockdowns in a round, like regardless of, if I would have knocked him down twice and he would have stayed up one round, I feel like that's giving him the win right there. Not giving him, but he's earning the win right there, right? So
yeah, so right here, and we just kind of move past it a little bit. You thought a few times, like, should I kneel, should I not kneel?
Yeah,
Obviously, you're trying to listen to your coach.
Exactly.
If I'm being honest, your body language doesn't look so good in this moment. What were you thinking as this guy's about to hit you a second time? His first strike obviously did some level of damage. Now you realize you're going to get hit again. Are you at all concerned that maybe this strike might be it? I mean, just again, being very honest. I'm not saying that you can't do it or what, but you don't know what's coming next. You don't know if this guy's going to get more powerful. You don't know if you've had too much damage already and now this guy's going to hit you again. So where's your headspace at in that moment?
I agree with you. Like, your body language can tell a little bit about yourself, but I knew what I signed up for, and I was ready for that third one, regardless, right? I didn't look it, but I was definitely ready.
And now, what about now it's your turn, right?
Yeah.
Do you think there's no way this guy can take another shot from you?
I wouldn't say that. I won't count anyone out, especially up there on power slap. Like, that slap stage, it's you can't count anyone out, right?
Yeah, we see the head hit the podium. That's becoming more and more of a thing. I'm just curious, in real time, did you see that? Did you notice that
I did,
hit the podium? Okay. And did that change the way you thought about how he'd be able to recover?
That's kind of why I started to walk off. I thought it was done right there.
Okay. So you feel like that, I mean, realistically, although it's not the same trauma as a strike, you know, hitting your head at dead weight when your body's dropping.
Yeah.
Could obviously that's a form of head trauma after you've already incurred some damage.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, do you think like in those types of moments, you're sure you're like, yeah, this is all over. Like this, there's no way he comes back from it. Even after he kind of looked the same, minus the head bump. He looked the same after the first strike. He fell the same way. He was in the same weird position, kind of had the same look on his face. So was it really that kind of hitting the head on the podium that was the difference maker in your mind?
I think it was more his legs, because his legs, each one went opposite way, and the fingers. I've seen his fingers kind of really stiffen up and go ways they really shouldn't. So I think it was the fingers and the legs that really, just the way he fell in general.
And did you have any time to kind of think, like, what if this guy before you dish the strike? What if this guy takes this strike and I've got to take a third one? I mean, where was your head at? Were you concerned? Were you like, oh, geez, like this may not go my way? Were you worried that maybe it might be a TKO? Were you worried that he might potentially knock you out? Or like, where was your head at?
I think I focused more on my offense than my defense. I just wanted to crack him, lay him down, and I was ready for the hit. Right, bite down, take it. Let's see what we're made of.
Final question from me. You're tall. You're very tall compared to like a guy like Robert Trujillo, obviously being I think 5'6", if I'm not mistaken, at 55 pounds. Excuse me. You're 6'1". We talked about this last week on the show when it came to Joshua Bolivar. You were really close to the podium for a guy as long as you are with as far as your reach goes. Was that a strategy, or you think that was just kind of your first time? Did you think that was a good range? Would you change anything about that moving forward?
I just went with whatever I was comfortable with, right? Like I had a little bit of time to slap the bob, and talk to Austin. I was thinking about changing up my position of my hand a little bit and stuff like that, little things, but he told me, you know what, at the end of the day, go with what you're comfortable with. And I believed him, right? So, but moving forward, I think I'll definitely range it out a bit more and really, really get lay down on that strike.
Amazing. Corey?
Awesome. Dakota, I got to tell you right off the bat, outside of power slap, dude, I am hearing that PEI accent. Probably introducing it to a lot of Americans that don't know what that is, but go strong with it. Let that be known around the world. It is something very unique to that region of the world, and never shy away from it, my man, because it's going to separate you from a lot of guys.
Sweet. I will always be myself. I will always be honest and genuine, and that's all I'm about, honestly. Thank you. I couldn't appreciate that. Or I couldn't. Thank you.
For sure, my man. Two more for you, though. Austin Turpin as a coach, and obviously the Crazy Hawaiian also came in there early to help you guys out. Talk to them about what they did to help prepare you.
Like I said, me and Austin talked about like maybe changing up my strike a little bit, but at the end of the day, go with what I'm comfortable with. But honestly, the biggest shout out to him as a corner man, as a coach, right there when he's right there with you. Dude, he's amazing, really.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
I think
one last one. So tournament style, you get through round one. Obviously, you took some damage in it. I don't want you to give away too much of what happens in round two, but how are you feeling going into that second round of the lightweight tournament?
Honestly, like I might not look it because I'm pretty reserved and calm, I guess. I don't know. But like I said, it felt like a dream. Like just amazing. To earn my way there too, it felt even better, honestly.
Awesome, man. Really appreciate you joining me. Canadians are off to a good start.
Real quick before you go. You said something on the show that was interesting, and I wanted to see if you want to expand on it. You called out a guy that everyone at this point is very familiar with in your rival coach, Robert Trujillo. We actually have him here, so I just want to see if you had anything to say to him while he's sitting here on the street.
Yeah. Hey.
What's up, dude?
What's up, brother? Honestly, the one thing I will say is thank you, because the last thing you said to me was you shook my hand and you thanked me for bringing some competition to this lightweight division. So I want to say thank you for saying that. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir, man. Like I said, it was exciting to watch you again. I seen it live, but it's exciting to watch you again. And you're definitely one of the guys I'm super excited in this division. You know, we're definitely gonna get some respect on this division now. They've been sleeping on us for a while, but I think we're gonna show them that we bring more energy, we bring more power than any other division in this competition. So I'm excited you're here. I'm excited for what's coming for you, and I'm excited to build this division.
Me too, man. I couldn't agree more. And one question from you. I don't want to fuck this up. How do I pronounce your last name? I'll say it in my accent, but how do I pronounce your last name?
You said it good. It's Trujillo.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Awesome, Robert. Talk to us about the match that we just seen between Dakota and Ivan. War of attrition, guys going down, both ways through the rounds. From your perspective, being a coach, how exhilarating was it to watch that one?
Oh man, it was crazy. Seeing a guy like Dakota, I kind of knew he would bring some power, but a guy like Ivan, I actually didn't expect him to pack a slap like that. And Dakota showed off his chin. He was able to stand back up, but his Ivan's strike surprised me a lot too. He went through some power I wasn't really expecting, and Dakota as well. So far out of all the lightweight matches I've seen, he looks like he has the most power out of all the lightweights in the competition so far. We'll see where it goes moving forward, but it was an awesome match to watch, especially being there live. It was back and forth. They both had two knockdowns, and Dakota ended up taking the win with that second knockdown. But it was just amazing to watch. It was dope.
Awesome. And I mean, Michael brought up earlier, the distinct height difference between yourself, someone like Dakota, Ivan. I mean, even Josh from the first episode. How does that make you feel, man? I mean, because a guy like Dakota, I believe, is 5 inches taller than you. I know you got some experience with Anthony Green, but how you think that height's going to play into the division?
Yeah. I said I think it's cool. It shows different range of athletes. Different range. And I've always been the short guy, so I'm kind of used to it. I think my last opponent was their size. And for me personally, fighting slap, I like going against taller guys, and being a short guy, I could say we have an advantage, but one of those tall guys may feel like they have the advantage as well. So I guess it all just depends on your style. I personally like going against taller guys, but I've also put down someone my size too, my height. So like I said, I think it's all on your style. It ultimately comes down to that chin and the power. So I definitely think height does play a factor, but at the same time, I mean, your chin plays more of a factor than anything.
Awesome. Great insight. Ding, you have anything for Dakota before we let him go?
No, that was it, Dakota. I just wanted to, give you an opportunity to talk to, a guy that you may see sometime down the line. Obviously, we don't know what happens, in the second round of this thing. But with the performance like that in the first round, battling through adversity, I absolutely believe we can see you back at some point, regardless of what happens in round two. And obviously, Robert Trujillo sitting atop of the throne of what the lightweight division has been. So very excited to prospect you, man. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Take care, my brother.
Take care, boys. We'll see you for real.
Later, brother.
All right. Rob, just to kind of keep things moving here, I had an interesting question. Obviously, you and Turpin seem to have very, very different coaching styles. Turpin being a lot more, vocal, kind of louder, a guy that really kind of peps his guys up in a more, I don't really know how to say it. I'll say that he kind of convinces them like there's nothing that this guy has for you, no matter who it is. Before they strike, he's like, this person has nothing for you. So he's really playing that kind of confidence game with them. But one of the things that you guys do that's totally different, I want your take on this, is the kneeling. He encourages his strikers when they get hurt to kneel, take the time to recover. You didn't seem to do any of that for your strikers. Talk to me about, one, what are your thoughts on that technique? And two, was it intentional for you not to do that? Or did you just feel like it wouldn't have mattered one way or the other? Kind of give us some insight as to that decision as a coach.
As a coach, wanting the best for my guys. If I see that they're a little hurt, I just want them to stay on their feet and breathe through it. Like going down to a knee ain't really gonna do much of a difference. And I let my guys know if they do go down, stay down to the 8 count, stay on a knee till the 8 count, then stand up. A lot of guys, you saw it early on with power slap, they get knocked down and they want to jump up right away for no reason. You got knocked down regardless of how fast you get up. You could jump up on the count of 1, or you could stay down till the 9 count and get up. So I knew, and I'm sure Terp knows the rules, but at the same time I do have a pretty deep fight background, so I know you take a knee, whether it's boxing or power slap, it's counted as a knockdown. So if any of my guys were hurt, I made sure to tell them to stay standing, breathe through it. Said you're gonna get the same you could get a standing 8 count, but it's not counted as a knockdown. Just looks like a big blow. So I told my guys, if they're hurt, take that knee while they're down. But if they don't go down, don't go to the knee. And I know, like you said, me and Turp had different styles. I think along the line he kind of was like realizing, because we would ask each other for tips and stuff too. So I think after a while he was kind of realizing, like, hey, maybe that might not work all the way through. But yeah, I don't really like the style of telling them to take knee unless they're already on the ground.
Got it. So, one more thing on the McGregor fight itself, and then we'll move on to some of the other fights that took place on the show this week. Um, when you look at, and just in any fight that's happened, when a guy gets as hurt as these guys look like they got from each other, it's rare that you see them recover and come back and keep dishing out crazy strikes from both ends like that. Were you surprised at all, especially given that it's your weight class, that these guys were just so durable, tough, resilient, and they were able to recover so well and then get back up there, have the wherewithal to dish another strike that was also brutal on both ends? Obviously, McGregor gets him out of there, but Ivan's no slouch, man. He like you said, he surprised us all. Like another tall, lanky guy, kind of along the lines of what we talked about last week with King DeFrank. Was that surprising to you, just how well they were able to recover?
Yeah. It was, but at the same time, I'm like, like a lot of them, like I think I even saw in the comments of the show, a lot of these guys are going down, and some of the slaps looked hard, but some of the slaps like last week, like some of them didn't look like that devastating, and guys are going down. So moving forward from this weight class, I definitely want to see what their chins do have to prove. Like some of them are taking shots, but at the same time, like I've seen some of them go down from shots that don't look too devastating to me. So it was definitely cool to watch this match of them getting back up from those strikes. And but like I said, moving forward, I just want to see really. It's always been a staple for me to work on my defense. I already know I could throw a punch, and it flows into my slap. So I'm never too worried on my slap. I never really focus on that. I focus constantly on my defense because anyone could go down up there, and I mean it's shown now in the season. Anyone could go down from any hit, but if you're prepared for it, I think you'll do a little better at eating it. That way, you don't have to try to regain your composure and jump up and do all this and that. So, like I said, it's cool watching them get up from them, but at the same time, like I want to see them be able to at least eat the shot without going down.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to the another matchup. Obviously, William Shockey facing off against Jair Roberto. Guy gets it done in one round. Obviously, he has that that defect. He was born without a right pectoral muscle, which to all of us, was kind of surprising. You don't see that every day. The guy uses the arm that is considered his strong arm, and absolutely just you know decimates. I don't know how else to say that. A pro MMA fighter, which is kind of your wheelhouse. He comes in light. He comes at 152.5 against a guy who's 160 who comes in heavy, and does that to him with when he only really has one arm that you would assume he can do that with. Were you shocked by this guy's performance?
Yeah, I mean, and I've said it from the start though. I said being MMA fighters switching over to this, which is why I think a lot of MMA fighters are scared too. It could be a double-ended sword. Guys who have took a lot of damage in their career. Unfortunately, after a while, your chin does start to go. And that's how much accumulated damage you've took over the years. But at the same time, you could be really good at bracing for the hit. You could be used to taking those hits. And unfortunately for Yair, he's super awesome dude. But I think his years of fighting is kind of taking his chin away because, I mean, he went down easily, and like it was he was out. He was out. He didn't even know he got knocked out. So, like I said, it could be a double-ended sword. For some guys, they do start losing their chin, after a while. And I think, unfortunately, he's one of those guys because, like I said, I mean, I think any one of these lightweights who won the coin toss could probably put him out. So, but that's not taking anything from William Shockey. Like his whole left, like he told me he was born with something where his whole right side is a little bit smaller than his left side. I can't remember what it was. So he's
Yeah, he
definitely,
has no pectoral muscle on his right side at all. He was
yeah.
born
So
without one,
his whole right side, his
and his hand
hand,
is
his
smaller. Yeah,
feet,
he showed
yeah,
us.
everything's a little bit smaller. Yeah. So he's definitely used to doing everything with that left side, and he definitely brought some power and put it on Roberto. And he had a great performance, but like I said, I think years of MMA took a little bit of Roberto's chin. Plus, he had a huge weight cut. So and Shockey even said it himself on the show. Shockey's had some background in mixed martial arts and training with guys, so he knows how much a weight cut could deplete you. So I don't think he was worried too much about Roberto missing weight. I think he was super excited he got the coin toss because he missed weight. So he knew what he was going into, and I think he knew he was going to put him out right away.
Amazing. And one more question before we move into the. I'll turn it over to Corey. Um, on season two, a lot of these fights ended in DQ, especially early on. This season so far, we haven't seen any DQs, and the fights have been either extremely competitive or shutouts. What do you attribute that difference to? I mean, most of these guys are brand new to this. Obviously, like a guy like Jerry Rivera, he's done this before, right? There's a few guys that we actually haven't seen yet that have done this before, and like a Darren Godfrey. But these guys who are making their debuts, they're having better performances. They're not getting fouled. I mean, Riley got a foul this time around. That was probably one of the first ones I've seen besides flinches in this season. What do you attribute that? I mean, do you think that that's a coaching thing? What's the biggest difference between this season and season two as far as the talent goes and their ability to perform without any fouls?
I think it being the fact that it is season three. I think they've got they watched season one and everyone was like, oh shit, this is brutal. And season two, everyone was like, okay, well, this is cool. Maybe we could get into this. So I think it's the fact that it is the third season. I think a lot more people were watching. I know some of the guys on the show were already working techniques way before they even got the call. So that I think just people have been trying to practice on their own. They watch Power Slap. They see the rules, and I think coaching does go a long way too. Me and like I said, season two was probably a little more awkward because Manny and Chris had the beef the whole season. And me and Terp, we actually, we would talk to each other after training sessions. We would give each other tips. We would pick each other's mind. And then also we had, the crazy Hawaiian there to do his little course with the lightweights as well. So I think coaching has a part to do with it, and also the longevity that's went with the sport so far.
Awesome, man. Corey?
Yeah, no, I think perfect segue. Obviously, you're a veteran of season one road to the title, so you were able to kind of get in there when things were fresh. We're seeing a lot of differences and changes as the rule set evolves. Michael talked about it earlier. That the athletes in the lightweight tournament were able to actually size up their competitors ahead of time, put their hands on the chin, feel the placement, look at how they were going to receive the defensive side of it. Like, did you know that at the time? And did you think it was weird or odd? Looking back at it now, like, is that so unique to this concept? Like, I mean, I'm still kind of blown away that was even proposed, I guess, because of the advantages you could have. What's your take on it?
No, I definitely think so, because, you're training for a guy, you're looking for a guy his size so you could try to fill him out since he's your size, But at the same time, their face ain't going to feel the same as your opponent's. So, like you said, I think it was kind of crazy, too, that they actually got to, go work with each other, fill each other out. Because to me personally, that's going to give me a huge advantage if I could sit there and just fill out my opponent. Because, like I said, I've been striking for years. I'm like, I know where to throw punches. So if I could fill him out and know exactly where I'm going to land, I feel like it gave me a huge advantage. So I was kind of blown away by it, too. And I thought it was crazy. I don't, who knows how much longer it'll go on that way. Like they did this season a lot different from like season one. So who knows? It might go into next season. They might like the style, or it might just go back to the regular way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We also see that the fighters don't know who's going to strike first until they're actually up there on stage.
Yeah.
Do
So
you think that's better or is that worse?
Um, I think it depends on the fighter. Like me personally, I want to know. I want to know what's going on, you know.
Mhm.
But as coaches, it was kind of crazy because we didn't know either. The coaches didn't know. They didn't tell us till we didn't find out till the fighters met up in the middle. So the fighters didn't know, coaches didn't know. So one of the things I told all my guys in the back is, you lost coin toss. Keep that in your head. You lost coin toss, and I think it does put more in a better mental state of getting ready for the match than thinking they won the. You know, everyone who thinks they won the coin toss thinks they're gonna go in there and knock the dude out. I don't care who it
Mhm.
is. Everyone who wins the coin toss, they think they're gonna go knock the dude out, and they ain't
Mhm.
worried about eating a hit themselves. So when they don't knock the guy out, and they're like, "Oh shit, I gotta get hit now," they're not prepared for it. So I
Mhm.
was telling, "Oh my god, you guys lost the coin toss," and I feel it just prepares them. Like, "Oh fuck, I gotta get hit, and then I'm gonna hit this dude back." So I thought it was wild. You know, I personally don't like it, but at the same time, you know, I think it does keep the guys more prepared than thinking, knowing they won the coin toss.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, you talked about things being quite different from season one. Is there anything else that was uniquely different that maybe we haven't noticed up until this point?
Like you said, the coin toss weigh-ins, they would let us know right there at weigh-ins. They flipped the coin toss. This one, you know, they had the competition to battle your way into the house, but that was with everyone. And you know, this one we already had our house draftees, and then there's a whole nother group of guys battling to take some of the draftees' spots. You know, and I can't really know. I'm not too sure. I know they did a lot more fun stuff for them.
Okay.
They did a lot more fun stuff for them than us. But
Yeah.
uh, I mean,
What?
the rules were definitely, there was a lot of, you know, things going on with the rules. They're back and forth with things they wanted to change, and then they'd go back to the original. You know, so
Mhm.
the first few rounds, you know, this first few rounds were kind of tough because they were kind of still trying to touch up the rules a lot. And I think, you know, once they finally settled back to pretty much almost what the original rules were, it made everything just a little bit smoother.
Gotcha. Um, I was gonna say, obviously for Power Slap 8, we've seen some rule changes about missing weight. The coin toss goes to the other competitor, and the fines associated with it. Do you know, was that also part of the show? Like, so the gentleman that missed weight, Roberto, do you know if he lost part of his purse to your athlete?
I'm not sure on that. I know he lost coin toss. I'm not sure about the whole pay. They didn't really, you know, talk to us about that. But I
Okay,
think he was the only person on the show who actually missed weight. So I can't really say it's too much because of the show.
sure.
I just think they do want guys to look a lot more professional. You know,
Hmm.
like you know the UFC. You know, because you know obviously a lot of these guys weren't athletes their whole life. You know, like MMA fighters in the UFC.
Hmm.
So I don't think too many of them know how big making weight, what making weight means. You know, like the battle is making weight. Like you go have fun when you fight. That's the fun part. But the battle is making weight. You know, so
Yeah.
I think a lot of these guys who are just like, oh shit, well, if I don't make weight, it's okay. I think they really wanted to bite down and let him know, like, no, making weight is the fucking main part. You know, like you
Hmm.
go out and have fun tomorrow, but you got to make weight or else you will have consequences. So,
Yeah.
I don't think it was too much from the show. I think it was maybe like guys missing weight in the actual live events because they can't change it, they can't ride around it. You know, it's just live and
Hmm.
right there.
Yeah. Talk about the draftees. Can you give us any more additional insight from what we may not know? And if were you involved in the selection process of these guys being drafted directly into the house?
So the another difference from season one, that now that you asked that, so season one, it was a snake draft. Darius would draft someone, and Wolverine would have to draft someone from that same weight class. And then Wolverine would go first, and he'd draft someone, and Darius would have to draft from that weight class. So they're ultimately making their own selections. Now in season three, all the matches were already made. They already made all the matches. They knew who was gonna go against who, and in the selection process, they called the guys up who were gonna go against each other, and it was a snake draft from there. But you know, Terp would go, then I would go, then Terp would go, you know, so we got to pick the guys we wanted, but it was already off matches that were already pre-made.
Understood. Looking at it and you know I guess, what was the overall aura like? Do you feel like things were more organized? Was there more confidence? Do you feel like the production, the athletic commission, like, do you think like everything is different now than it was before?
Yeah, I definitely think it was, and I think it was a lot easier for the athletic commission to sit there and explain the rules with them, and come from a cool spot. Like when they were sitting there with us, they're like, oh well, you got to do this, and even they were still a little confused. So like it was kind of confusing to us on season one, and now,
Mhm.
like you said, it was a lot more organized. The production team was a lot more organized for sure, and as coaches, I think it was cool this time. Season one, Wolverine and Darius didn't really talk too much, or they didn't really go to the house. I know season two, Manny and Chris went to the house a lot, but they had that beef going.
Yeah.
So I think kind of feel like it made their competitors want to beef with that other team, and they would see me and Turp would go to the house and do things together. We would do things with them. We would go talk to them. They'd see us talking, shaking hands, laughing. So I think it just made, them think like, oh shit, well, this is just, this is a sport. We ain't here to fucking beef with each other. We're here to compete and have a good time, So I think it kind of like took some of the pressure off of like, season one and two were like, oh shit, all right, we can't talk to that dude because I'm gonna be fucking going against him. And you see on this one, a lot of the guys we're talking there, we're talking like they're hanging out dudes they're gonna go against, So
Mhm.
I think that was probably a big pressure relief for a lot of the guys.
Absolutely. Michael, I don't believe we don't have any guests from the last fight. Do we want to get some narration through Robert Trujillo from
Yeah,
his
please.
eyes?
So it's a bit long, Rob. So we probably won't go through the entire thing. But if you could just kind of talk us through what you thought here. Obviously, Riley comes in with a pretty interesting story. Says he lives in his car, but he has a really positive mindset. Some of the comments I saw, obviously, they posted some tidbits on Power Slap from this fight earlier on Instagram, and everybody was saying Isaac looks like he's like an 18-year-old kid, barely an adult. Like, but the performance here, I mean, if you look, obviously Riley shows good toughness. That shot looked like it hurt him. He's stumbling, moving forward and back. He thinks he's all right, but again, I mean, it goes back to what we were saying. Obviously, he didn't get knocked down, but that body language doesn't look good. If I'm a judge, that doesn't look good. Were you concerned at this moment after that's his first strike and the kind of his reaction?
Yeah. So I was a little concerned, but at the same time, like you said, this was his first time ever actually taking that type of hit. So I think I was like, okay, it's the more of the shock stunned him more than the actual strike, because you could tell it shook him real quick, and then he was okay. And like you're saying with Isaac, he does look like a super young kid, and he actually surprised me a lot. I was in town Riley. I said, look, he's a little boy. He's scared up there, and he went and he showed out, And I think I'm pretty sure he's like a Golden Glove boxer or something like that. So I think once Isaac does mature a little bit more and he puts on a little bit more muscle weight, I think he's gonna be a problem for anyone at the lightweight class, And even if he does, end up gaining some weight as he matures and goes to 170, I think he's gonna be a problem for a lot of people. And it's pretty exciting to see, younger guys like this coming in with boxing backgrounds, and like they both showed off their chins. They both had some really clean strikes, and this was actually one of my favorite matches at lightweight because, like I said, all the rest of the guys are going down easy, man. I mean, they're just falling. All the lightweights are falling, and to me, I'm like, okay, so it's kind of discouraging because I want a great match, and even though they're putting each other down, I've eaten big shots from a lot of people, so I want to go against someone who does have a great chin, and so this match was exciting to me because they were whacking each other hard, like you see this hit right here. They're whacking each other hard, and they're both eating the shots and going back and giving another.
Yeah, I mean, you see, he does the chicken dance in that first strike. It looked like he kind of ran back up to the box. Was that a strategy, or do you think he just kind of got overzealous where he wanted to rush back and dish a strike, pretty quickly after he felt like he was recovered? I mean, again, his body language does not look good. If you ask me, I think he lost round one, and I'll wait until this strike takes place. But obviously that's a big part of this, especially when both of these guys are eating these hits. So did he rush back purposely, or was that something that you told him he should do? I know in the past you said no, don't do that. So I was just curious. It looked
Yeah,
like
I
he did.
definitely think he, like I said, I definitely think he's like, oh shit, this guy hit me hard. I got to get him back. And I think he just wanted to. I think it was more of he did get rocked, and he wanted to show I ain't rocked, because like me as a coach, you even saw it with Paige. Paige asked me, she's like, I'm not hurt. Should I go back right away?
Yeah.
And I said
You
the
said
amount of
no. Take
time.
your time.
Yeah, I said the amount of time you take does not affect the scorecards. I said take your time. To me as a coach, because they make the defender go back to the box right away. Me as a coach, I tell him, I'm saying, wait till that last 10 seconds. Let them stand up there and wait and think about the hit they're about to take, because it does put a little more nerves when you're actually standing there in the box and you're just waiting for the guy to come. So I've definitely, I've expressed to all my guys, like, no, take as much time as you need, and like I said, I even said it with Paige. She was like, can I go back up? And I was like, take a little bit of time. And, to me, I think it's a good thing, because some people, they think like, oh well, I rocked him the last hit, I need to go back up right away. And regardless if you go back up within 10 seconds or 45, you rocked them, their head's still gonna be off a minute later. They ain't gonna recover in a full minute. Some of the dudes do, to where they could take another hit, but they're still dizzy in their minds, like you see with MMA, boxing, it looks like people are recovered, but the whole round you're like, oh shit, like I was coasting that whole round, and that's the same with this, like I don't think a full minute's going to give anyone enough time to actually recover after they get dropped.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I thought Riley had really, nice. His strikes looked nice. Obviously, he gets called for a foul in this round. What was interesting to me is that you said that Riley's second strike was a club. Um, I'm sorry, Isaac. You said that his second strike was a club. I actually agree with that. I think it was a bit far back. He didn't get called on it, but in that round, it was his third strike. So this is the final round. In that round, realistically, all Riley had to do was land a clean strike because his response to that strike was good. Do you think it was a mistake? Obviously, you never want to get a foul, but do you think that's kind of what made him lose, was just getting a foul in that last round, or do you think it really didn't matter? He would have lost anyway.
It looked, like you said, he reacted to Isaac's shots more than Isaac did. So I feel like if he would have caught him really clean that third round, it would have won the match for him. And I personally think the strike was a little bit cleaner than Isaac's second strike was, the one I called the club. It I felt like Isaac's strike looked like a little bit more of a club than Riley's did. The one that they actually called him for. It looked like a clean hit to me. It was right on the button, and I I don't know really where the club was. It might have been a little low, but it looked clean on the chin to me. So, and even rewatching it now, it looked super clean on the chin.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Yeah. Corey?
I don't. Yeah, looking back a second time, I actually don't think Isaac had a true clean strike where you'd want to land on the jawline in any three of his strikes.
Yeah, they were all pretty high. They were all up here.
So, yeah. Montoya, obviously good story behind him. I mean, living out of his car, heartwarming. Do you think we see him back?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he brought the heat. Like I said, they're both the first two lightweights to actually show their chin, and I definitely think he's coming back for more. I feel like he earned it. They both, like I said, they both showed off their chin, and I mean, he's an awesome dude all around, dude. He was one of my favorite guys on the show. He's an awesome dude all around. So I definitely think we see him back for some more, and I think he has a lot more to prove.
Yeah, Dana did make a comment, Corey, to your point. It was kind of a little unclear, but he did say he thought Montoya had a lot of heart and could do great things in the sport. So he alluded to the idea that he might want to bring him back.
And for Power Slap, it's smart because they had four lightweights move through who won by knockout. So they can't really bring back any of the guys who got knocked out. And they have Isaac moving through, so that makes five. They got to keep it an even numbers. So if anyone, it definitely should be Riley because he didn't get knocked out. He showed his chin. The rest of the guys, they can't bring back someone who got knocked out. So
You're in, coach. Round two.
Put me in.
Awesome, buddy. Appreciate you joining us as always, my man. Much love, much respect. I see it's dark there for you now, so keep.
Yeah, I just finished training, and I didn't really have anywhere to go, so I just parked in my car, jumped on real quick. So,
dude, trying to get you on here is like trying to get a full moon. So we appreciate you joining us. Obviously, the fan base wants to hear from the coach. You guys were there for all of it, and so your perspective is incredibly important. You know these guys a lot better than anybody else does. So, again, really appreciate you coming on, man. It doesn't matter if you're in a swimming pool; it's all good.
Yeah, man. I'll definitely make some more. I try not to be so busy. So it was nice that you guys brought me on this time because, like I said, I literally just had walked out of training. We had some sparring tonight, so staying ready for these matches, whenever I actually get one back. So, yeah, it was definitely fun to be on, chat with you guys. Ain't seen you guys in a while, so it was nice chatting.
Awesome, boys. Appreciate you.
All right, we'll
Thanks,
see you guys.
Rob. All right, brother. All right, Cor, let's wrap it up, man. It seems like we had a pretty packed show. For those of you who are still here, we really appreciate you guys for making it this far. Apologies, we couldn't really do the comment thing. It was a really packed show, but if you guys leave a comment once this is no longer live, we'll respond to that. Obviously, come on Smack Talk, come on the Final Slap in the future. We'll make sure that we get better at doing those things. Cor, any save rounds, man? I mean, I thought it was a great episode. We've got 4 really promising guys. If Riley does come back, I'm excited to see him. He did not go down. You don't see that very often where a guy does a chicken dance twice. And then the third strike, he actually seemed like he absorbed it better than the first 2 strikes. So definitely very exciting prospects out of this episode.
Yeah, I mean, for the lightweight tournament, I mean, I'd say I didn't have high hopes for it, but like in MMA 155, a lot more endurance, a lot more speed, not as much of the knockout power as some of the light heavyweights do, and to see the the knockouts, the knockdowns that we've been having, these guys have been showing up and showing out. These guys are proving, like Robert talked about, they are preparing before they come to the show. So we're seeing that revelation now. They've had 15 months of being able to watch film, prepare before they get to the house, and put in that time. Like you said, a lot of these guys aren't just coming off the couch. Isaac, like you said, a boxing, young boxing, athlete in his own right. So we're starting to see the recruiting of it change, and we're seeing a lot of stuff actually translate now to the entertainment value of Power Slap. For you guys, we're an hour in. Whoever stayed to watch till this point, we appreciate you all, whether you're watching on YouTube, watching on X, watching on Facebook, or on Rumble. We'll be back every single week. We've got 2 live shows. We've got Smack Talk on Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. in the East. And then we've got this show here, the Final Slap, following episode, the release of the episode every single week, coming to you approximately 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern. Every single week throughout this entire show. We're just getting started, and it's seemingly getting better and better every time they release another episode. So I'm jacked. You're jacked. Stay tuned. Thursday, Friday, we're going to have winner interviews released as well. And if you want to stay up to date on all the latest information, make sure you're following us on Instagram, /slap_news.
Thank you. Let's go.